Yes, so good evening everyone. I think last session was little scary and plus seeing the first page of VT, नरेश गोयल जी को भी आज ही अरेस्ट किया पीएमएलए के अंडर. एक बार तो कोर्ट ने स्ट्राइक डाउन किया था. नाउ सेकंड ECIR ऑन दैट बेसिस CBI कंप्लेंट ECIR फाइल्ड पीएमएलए में उनको आज अरेस्ट कर दिया. सो ऑब्वियसली दैट इज समथिंग स्कैरी. आवर टॉपिक राइट नाउ इज नॉट सो मच. This is dealing with overseas investments. This session is broken up into 3 parts. So I am fortunate that Vaibhav ji will not be having to give me the cheat क्योंकि मेरा flight पकड़ने का है. And the second reason is that whatever is left from my presentation, next 2 sessions are already there. But yes, I have been given the responsibility to cover a lot of portion. काफ़ी सारे slides भी है. I will try to cover as much as possible. I have interesting case studies also. So I will try to cover 6 o'clock तक का time दिया गया है. So 1 hour 15 minutes, still very tough. But yes, let's start with that right away. What has happened lately is last August, that is August 2022, there has been a sea change in the entire overseas investment rules and regulations. Okay. Sea change in the sense that the old regulations have been withdrawn. Notification 120 was there. उसके पहले 19 था, that was very very old. So 120 was there 2004. उसके बाद directly अभी change आ रहा है. Okay, so a gap of 18 years and complete overhaul. A lot of relaxation. So that is good that we are going in the right direction of liberalization. So that is good. But now what has happened is, as we all know, that the power to regulate the capital account transactions has been transferred to the central government, at least those capital account transactions which are not dealing with debt. Okay, so non-debt. So therefore आप FDI वाला देखोगे, notification name is non-debt instruments. Okay, debt instruments power is still with RBI. Likewise here, whatever portion of overseas investments that are dealing with non-debt, so basically equity, convertible instruments, fully convertible, that power is now with the central government. So now whatever changes will come out after this, so the first notification came out on 22nd August 22. उसके बाद जो भी आएगा that will come by way of a gazetted notification. वो आपको RBI के वेबसाइट पे नहीं दिखेगा. What you will see is overseas investment regulations, because that is the regulation dealing with debt investment for overseas. जैसे आपका guarantee हो गया, loan हो गया. Okay, so that you will find in overseas investment regulations. And apart from that, you will also find the reporting guidelines. Okay, so that power still remains with RBI for all capital account transactions, current account transactions, everything. Okay. Then the third part, the third box which you see there is overseas investment directions. So this is kind of a new concept that has come in. So we have the concept of master direction, which you see, besides also master direction on reporting. So what is master direction? Nothing but it's kind of a consolidated, instructions, and it gives a consolidated position of all the rules, regulations in one document. But overseas investment direction is something different. Now what has happened, see, we all know how the process of law is enacted. Obviously there are drafts which are which come out, then they go to the law ministry, vet hota hai, then finance ministry actually comes out with it. Now here, since there was bifurcation between central government and RBI, there are a lot of gaps when you join the dots between both. So therefore जो भी gaps था, whatever clarifications were needed, RBI realized that, and on the same date it issued a circular which which is basically nothing but overseas investment direction. उसमें they have tried to clarify certain issues that are arising, and obviously certain guidance has also been given on the rules and regulations. Okay. Then master direction reporting, that has been updated. So this keeps on getting updated on very frequent basis, because that contains reporting for all the notifications. Okay, so therefore overseas investment ka bhi reporting you will find in master direction reporting. Then what was updated was master direction on LRS. वहाँ पे the portion dealing with overseas investments, okay, that was completely changed. And now the reference is given to the overseas investment rules in the master direction on LRS. There are definitions, I'll come to them also. And lastly, acquisition of immovable property outside India. So there was a notification 7R. Now that 7R has been subsumed here. Okay. So now immovable property rules regulations also you will find in overseas investment rules. Okay. And this is specifically overseas immovable property, not the domestic one. The Indian immovable property acquisition is clubbed under non-debt instrument rules. वो FDI portion आ गया. So this is kind of an overview which I have made of the entire framework for overseas investments. Okay. First, Indian entity can make overseas investment. Second box is resident individual can make overseas investment. Third, registered trust and society can make, and the last one is mutual fund, venture capital fund and AIF. How can Indian entity make investments? It can either be by way of ODI or it can be by way of OPI. OPI earlier was not defined, now it has been elaborately defined. Okay, and the definition is now common for individuals as well as Indian entity. Earlier the criteria were different. So therefore, resident individual के अंदर भी you will see two boxes, ODI and OPI. Okay, so till there is parity. उसके नीचे ODI can be made in a foreign entity. Now we all know under FEMA any entity which is incorporated in IFSC is treated as a foreign entity. Therefore, it is IFSC also and outside India also. Okay, so both are at par there also again. OPI is other than ODI. So largely OPI is nothing but portfolio investments where you don't have control. You are making investment purely for the investment gains and not for strategic purposes. We'll come to specific definitions also. So therefore OPI which is allowed in a foreign security. Now that foreign security can be listed in IFSC, can be listed outside India. Why am I talking about listed? Because unlisted debt instruments are not permitted. Then you go to resident individual. Resident individual under ODI similar parities there. IFSC, other than IFSC outside India certain conditions are there. It has to be operating company. The company cannot do a financial services business, so that conditions I have incorporated here. And अगर OPI है तो again similar. The third box is registered trust and society. उसमें only two types are allowed, hospital sector and education sector. Only those trusts are allowed. That also under RBI approval route. No other kind of trusts are allowed to do overseas investment. MF, VCF, AIF. So these are pooling vehicles. When pooling vehicles make overseas investment, it will be treated as OPI only, and that is being categorically mentioned now. Earlier, obviously, there was a sense that whatever investment that they make, it will not be treated as ODI, but now it is in the regulations itself. Okay, and it is under the automatic route. RBI has largely stated that they have to adhere to the SEBI guidelines. SEBI guidelines mein limits are given. Annual limit for AIF investments, annual limit for mutual fund investments. So you have to adhere to them. Okay. And last one is all these investments can be under automatic route or under approval route. Okay. So if you satisfy the conditions, go under automatic route. If you do not, you make an application to RBI and you seek the permission. So I hope at least this is clear to all of you, because this will be the base for the next three sessions, mine and the next two ones. Okay. So if anyone has doubt, I can take that up here. Definition wise, I will come to separate slides because I have separate slides for the specific definitions. Let me go to the next slide. So through my entire presentation, what I have done is I have done a comparative analysis of the earlier notification and the present notifications. Now you may ask me, why is the earlier notification even relevant now? Because everything has changed. The answer to that is, even if as on today, in any of your clients' cases, or if you're coming from corporate, in your companies, you come across any non-compliance, the new regulations won't apply. The earlier regulations will apply, and the contravention you will have to see in the earlier regulations. Even though in the new regulations, there may be liberalization, but still, since the offense happened under the earlier notification, you will have to see the old regulations. So that's why it is necessary to do a comparative study of the concepts under FEMA 120 as well as the present one. So ODI was defined, and now also it is defined largely in a similar manner, but now slight changes are there. So earlier MOA subscription covered, secondary purchase covered. Right now also MOA subscription covered, secondary purchase covered, but now it is specifically mentioned acquisition of unlisted equity of foreign entity. Okay, and unlisted equity capital. So that has also been defined. Earlier, ODI only and only used to be equity shares investment and compulsorily convertible preference shares investment. Now it is these two plus compulsorily convertible debentures investment. Okay, so all compulsorily convertible instruments will be clubbed with equity class and it will be treated as ODI. Just like in FDI, you would have seen yesterday that these three type of instruments come under the definition of equity instruments. Likewise here also, equity capital consists of these three types of instruments. Okay, ODI earlier only and only used to be investment in an unlisted entity. Now it is unlisted entity plus if it is more than 10% in a listed entity, that will still be considered as ODI. Logic here is, if you are investing more than 10%, you are investing with the thought that it will be a strategic investment, I want control, and therefore I will club it under the concept of overseas direct investment. Okay, this is exactly the converse of I understand chai coffee ka time hai, but please hold on for some time because these are important concepts. So जो भी FDI में है, this is exactly the converse. FDI में भी same है, 10% threshold is there. If a foreign investor is making investment of more than 10% in a listed Indian entity, that is considered as FDI. So here on the converse side, it is considered as ODI. Last concept is of control. Control is a concept that has come in recently, not there anywhere in the legislation under FEMA 120. Okay, this is a new concept, and this concept largely borrowed from other regulations and mainly the SAST, that is the takeover code. Definition is also borrowed from that with some changes. Okay, so why are we referring to definition of control? Because if you have control in a foreign entity and it is the investment is less than 10% of a listed foreign entity, even then it will be treated as ODI. Okay, so therefore this definition is very subjective, but at least you should bear in mind in some cases you will find disproportionate shareholding rights, voting rights, different class of shares. So in those cases you should refer to the definition and then make up your mind whether it is a ODI or it is OPI. Okay, now let's go to definition of control. What do you mean by control? Control means the right to appoint majority of directors, very simple, or to control the management of policy decisions exercisable by a person or persons acting individually or in concert. So PAC, persons acting in concert, this definition, so this concept is borrowed from SEBI takeover code. There persons acting in concert have been defined also, here it is not defined. So I would still feel that both legislations as far as the concept of control are pari materia, so therefore you may refer to the guidance given there in order to interpret how you actually club different persons to claim that they are acting in concert. Okay, now it could be directly, it could be indirectly also, including by virtue of shareholding or management rights or shareholders agreements or voting agreement that entitle them to 10% or more of voting rights in any manner in the entity. So the right to control management and policy decisions can come out of shareholders agreements, voting agreements, and they also may come by virtue of the shareholders rights or management rights that you may get. Okay, and the threshold of 10% obviously is very important. So this definition till that part is subjective, after that it becomes objective. So therefore even if you have more than 10% voting right, but you don't have right to appoint majority of director, but you don't have right to control management of policy decisions, even then it will be treated as if you have control. So largely, you will find in all situations that this 10% threshold is something that you will encounter. Beyond that, in specific situations, you may refer to the definition of control in detail. Now we go to the concept of OPI. In an earlier notification, if one wanted to do investment in an overseas listed entity, okay, listed, so entity issuing securities, it may be stocks, it may be derivative listed instruments, it may be, listed bonds, whatever. If the investing entity, that is the Indian entity, if it were an Indian company, then it always had to be treated as portfolio investment. So that clarity was there, no doubt about that. But for individuals, that clarity was never there. For individual, when will an investment be treated as portfolio or ODI? Now let's say you and me, as an individual, you incorporate a company, whether it will be ODI, whether it will be OPI. Question mark. So what if you have 10% stake in a startup there under FEMA 120? What if you have 15% stake? What if you have 5% stake? So under law, there were no regulations or there was no guidance, but informal guidance was given by RBI. These are the criteria that you had to check to see whether that investment was allowed or not. So, if you are not a subscriber to memorandum, if it is not your VOS, if you are not an active investor, if you do not have any other financial commitment. So financial commitment typically includes all classes of investments. It may be by a loan, investment in equity. So therefore, no other financial commitment, meaning only investment in equity and generally into listed companies. So these were only the prescriptive criterias which typically the ADs used to check, and they used to obviously take a declaration that you are not satisfying all of this. If you are not satisfying all of this, then I will treat it as portfolio. If you are satisfying either, then I will not treat it as portfolio. You had to do form ODI filing and everything. Now what has happened? Definition is streamlined. Definition is common for investments by Indian companies also and by individuals also. So let me read out the definition. Achha, it's there. OPI means investments other than ODI in foreign securities, but not in any unlisted debt instruments or any security issued by a person resident in India who is not in an IFSC. Okay. Let's target the first person. OPI means investment other than ODI. So mutually exclusive. If it's ODI, it cannot be OPI. So therefore, first go to the definition of ODI, analyze whether it is ODI or not. If it is not, then you see whether it falls under a definition of OPI. If it does not, then it's not allowed. Plain and simple. So here, anyway, there are exclusions, but not in any unlisted debt instruments. Foreign company issuing bonds to you. Foreign company issuing NCDs to you which are not listed. Okay. I am talking as an individual for the moment. For company you have schedule 2. So there only listed Indian companies can do OPI. Unlisted Indian companies organically cannot do OPI. If it is a secondary transaction, only then OPI is allowed by a unlisted Indian entity. So therefore let's focus on the individuals here. So individual earlier could have invested in unrated debt securities. Okay, so unrated bonds that were issued by foreign funds also, derivative instruments. Okay, if they qualified as debt, not otherwise. But now that is prohibited. You cannot invest in a bond which is not listed outside India as an individual under LRS. You cannot invest in a NCD if it is not listed as an individual under LRS. Then OPI by PRI, that is person resident in India, in the equity capital of a listed entity even after its delisting shall continue to be treated as OPI. So this is nothing but the concept that if the original investment were OPI, it will continue to remain OPI if there is no change, even if the listed entity delists itself. Okay. Why is this relaxation given? Because the intention was to do a OPI. Just because the entity got delisted, your intention does not change. Okay. So therefore you are allowed to keep it unless you make further investment. Okay. Yes. So now coming to certain posers here, whether portfolio investment permitted anymore in unlisted company. We saw the definition of ODI here. Okay, so ODI is unlisted equity capital of a foreign entity. If it is ODI, it cannot be OPI, right? So therefore here, whether portfolio investment permitted anymore in unlisted company. Those are situations which are in the minority. I am talking about the general scenario. So under general scenario, all investments in unlisted entities would now qualify as ODI only, not OPI. So OPI is typically listed. Okay. Unless obviously, as you said, control is there. ODI means investment by way of acquisition of unlisted equity capital of foreign entity. Okay, ठीक है, that's the first part.
That's right.
Second part is subscription as part of MOA. Third part is investment in 10% or more of listed entity or investment with control. When the investment is less than 10%, that is also for listed entity. No, so rule खाली नाम का है sir. Whatever notification that is brought out by central government comes out as rules. आपका आपने देखा रहेगा current account transaction rules है, capital account transaction regulations है, but both are at par. It's not like अपना income tax में act को delegated power, you know, whatever has been given through rules. It's not like that. Yes. Now we go to the second poser, whether resident individuals are permitted to make portfolio investments under LRS. So I'll address this. What has changed? The definition of OPI has changed. But otherwise, LRS का जो investments था, जैसे कि you and me investing in stocks of Google, you and me investing in stocks of Apple or any other company, that is still permitted. It's not ODI because it's not in an unlisted equity capital. So investment in listed stocks, it does not come under ODI because आपका कंट्रोल तो होने नहीं वाला है. 10% के ऊपर है तो अलग बात है, 10% के नीचे है, then you need to see the OPI definition. OPI definition क्या है? Means investment other than ODI. It's not ODI. In foreign securities, is it in any of the exclusions? Is it in unlisted debt instruments? No. Is it in a security issued by person resident in India? No. It's by a foreign person. So therefore, it qualifies as OPI. So investment in foreign listed stocks is still permissible. There is no change in that. Okay. Change is in unlisted stocks outside India. So unlisted company, private companies outside India. Okay. That is where the major change is. Last one is important, whether ODI, OPI and derivative products is permitted. So now see the game here that in rules definition is different. Rules में there is no prohibition. Derivatives का कहीं भी नहीं है. But in the overseas investment direction, जिसमें as I told you, whatever is not there in the rules जिसमें clarity चाहिए था, RBI came out over and above. वहाँ पे सर आपका जो है argument delegated legislation वहाँ पे आता है because ये circular के through आया है and there it specifically prohibits. It prohibits, OPI shall not be made in any derivatives unless permitted by the RBI. So that is over and above the definition of OPI which is there in the rules. So it is elongating the list. It is adding to the list, adding to definition. So that is why that last question which next is a concept of net worth definition. Net worth definition पहले क्या हुआ करता था? Definition was net worth means paid up capital and free reserves. Free reserves never defined. In company law, free reserves meant only available for dividend distribution. That means securities premium not included. Okay. Free reserve definition under company law didn't include, but net worth definition under the company law included. But net worth definition was always there in FEMA 120. So therefore you had to refer to only free reserves ka part. So therefore this confusion was there. Acha, securities premium can we take, can we not take? That has been clarified. Securities premium account में जो भी balance है, you can include in the net worth calculation. Okay, because 4 times net worth you are allowed to make the investment. Okay, so if you have got some investor at a premium, you should not be at a disadvantage to make ODI. Okay, so that is the concept. Now coming to important definitions. Okay, so equity capital definition I think we have already dealt with. What does it say? Equity shares or perpetual capital or instruments that are irredeemable contribution to non-debt capital of a foreign entity in the nature of fully and compulsorily convertible instruments. Okay, so therefore I talked about equity shares, I talked about CCD, I talked about CCPS. All three come under that. Okay. Next definition, foreign equity. Foreign entity. Foreign entity means entity formed or registered or incorporated outside India, including in IFSC, but that has limited liability. ये definition में आ गया, limited liability criteria. Okay. So entities with unlimited liability not allowed. Okay. Lot of question marks. US में unlimited liability companies वहाँ पे form होती है, but resident Indian entities could never have incorporated those entities. So now it is in black and white. That entity has to have limited liability. Okay. हाँ, we were on limited liability. ठीक है. provided that the restriction of limited liability shall not apply to an entity with core activity in a strategic sector. So this is basically for oil gas exploration and PSUs who want to invest outside India. उसमें limited liability का concept नहीं होता because lot of times in exploration projects and all, liability may not be restricted. Okay. Overseas investment means financial commitment and overseas portfolio investment by a person resident in India. In short, it is ODI plus OPI. Okay. ODI के अंदर आपका फाइनेंशियल कमिटमेंट के अंदर क्या क्या आ जाता है? इट इज इक्विटी कैपिटल इन्वेस्टमेंट, इट इज लोन, इट इज गारंटी, इट इज प्लेज, सब कुछ आ गया उसमें. इंडियन एंटिटी मीन्स सो हु कैन डू द ODI? कंपनी, बॉडी कॉर्पोरेट, LLP, पार्टनरशिप फर्म. बट पार्टनरशिप फर्म हैज टू बी रजिस्टर्ड. पहले भी इतने ही एंटिटीज थे, नाउ ऑल्सो. सो नथिंग हैज चेंज एज फार एज इंडियन एंटिटी इज कंसर्न. Next definition is one of the most important in the overseas investment rules. Subsidiary or step down subsidiary of a foreign entity means an entity in which the foreign entity has control. Now first difference you will see here is they are talking about foreign entity subsidiary, not your subsidiary. ठीक है? So that perspective is not addressed by the definition. Indian entity subsidiary का perspective है ही नहीं. It is foreign entity subsidiary or step down. Okay, so that is important to note. And उसमें criteria is of control. So as we saw, definition of control is very wide. It may be subjective, it may be objective also. Objective simplest criteria 10% threshold. 10% voting rights आपको आ गया. So foreign entity investing in more than 10% stock giving equal voting rights, the entity becomes subsidiary. तो 51% नहीं है यहाँ पे, कंट्रोल 10% थ्रेशोल्ड. ओके, सो ये बहुत आर्टिफिशियली डिफाइन किया गया है. सो इंपॉर्टेंट टू नोट दैट द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट इम्प्लीकेशन ऑफ दिस इज एन राउंड ट्रिपिंग. रिस्ट्रिक्शंस एंड प्रोहिबिशंस अंडर 19(3) है, नॉट 2, सॉरी. No person resident in India shall make financial commitment in a foreign entity that has invested or invests into India at the time of making such financial investment or at any time thereafter, either directly or indirectly, resulting in a structure with more than 2 layers of subsidiaries. I repeat it. No person resident in India shall make a financial commitment in a foreign entity, so overseas investment, that has invested or invest back into India. तो round trip आ गया. At the time of making the financial commitment, तो at the time it may be a pre-existing structure or at any time thereafter. So after you make the investment, बाद में अंदर आता है, बाद में इंडिया में वापस आता है. So both situations are covered, either directly or indirectly, resulting in a structure with more than 2 layers of subsidiaries. So no person, resulting in a structure with more than 2 layers of subsidiaries. So that is where subsidiary definition comes into play. If the structure is not coming back to India, so 19(3) does not apply. Outside India you can have unlimited layers. You don't have 2 layer restriction. Vaivoji's question, individually ये कर सकता है कि नहीं, उसके लिए I'll directly go to schedule 3. If you see the first bullet point that is there, that's the most important for resident individual investment in ODI. So ODI should be in a operating foreign entity, that is 1, not engaged in FS activity, that is 2, and which does not have a subsidiary or step down subsidiary. उसके साथ attached conditions है where resident individual has control in the foreign entity. Okay. Now उसके नीचे I have just juxtaposed the definition of subsidiary, step down subsidiary, just to see कि भाई कहाँ से आ रहा है वो. Okay, so let's target the condition first. What is the condition? Resident individual has control in the foreign entity. Okay. If he has control, meaning we have seen objective criteria is 10%. If the resident individual has more than 10% stake in the foreign entity, then the foreign entity cannot have a subsidiary or step down subsidiary. That is the implication of this definition.
That's right, very clear. Perfectly fine.
तो राउंड ट्रिपिंग में अगर आपका स्टेक लेस देन 10% है तो ये कंडीशन अप्लाई नहीं होता है आपको. So then it is possible. Logic there being, if it is less than 10%, you don't have control. How can you stop the foreign entity from investing wherever they want? India may be one of the markets, India may be the only market. You can't stop them. So therefore 10% is the threshold cap. Sweat equity mein, there is a exclusion, but I am not sure whether it is for step down. Just let me check. So provided that ODI in respect of clauses EFGH. So F is sweat equity, may be made in a foreign entity, whether or not such foreign entity is engaged in financial service activity or has subsidiary or step down subsidiary where the individual has control. Control meaning 10%. आपका अगर 10% के ऊपर आ गया तो स्वेट इक्विटी भी अगर होगा तो भी राउंड ट्रिपिंग पॉसिबल नहीं है. Sweat equity होगा but it is less than 10%, then it is possible.
Then it is possible. Yes.
Because there is a exclusion for that. Other important definitions, financial commitment. So financial commitment can be fund based, non-fund based. Non-fund based, guarantee, loan, pledge. Not loan, pledge. Okay. Financial service regulator. 4 types of regulators have been defined. It is RBI, SEBI, IRDA, PFRDA. फाइनेंशियल सर्विस रेगुलेटर टिपिकली वो परमिशन के लिए आता है, एनओसी अगर आपको लेना होता है तो. ओके, दैट इज व्हाई द डेफिनेशन इंपॉर्टेंट. लास्ट ऑडिटेड बैलेंस शीट डेफिनेशन इज ऑल्सो वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. दिस डेफिनेशन वाज नॉट देयर. नाउ व्हाट इट सेज, लास्ट ऑडिटेड बैलेंस शीट मींस ऑडिटेड बैलेंस शीट एज ऑन डेट not exceeding 18 months preceding the date of the transaction. So you don't have to keep doing an audit simply if your net worth increases to take the benefit of 4 times. Okay, increase net worth. पुराना आपका ऑडिट है, यू के ऑडिट रिपोर्ट है, यू कैन यूज दैट ऑल्सो. बट इफ योर नेटवर्थ हैज इंक्रीज्ड and you want to utilize your full 4 times the net worth, then you can do a fresh audit also. Special purpose audit is permitted. Okay, we have done also. That is permitted. Bank also accepts. So that is clear. Okay. Sweat equity shares. So this is the same definition which is there under company law, but here sweat equity has been issued by a overseas company. Then only it is a ODI transaction. Overseas company issuing sweat equity to Indian individual. Yes, that's possible. You introduce capital, you do a special purpose audit, net worth nikalo as on a particular date, use that net worth. Strategic sector, as I said, normally PSUs के लिए काम का आएगा. AD Bank, same definition. I don't need to go into that. Yeah, this is also important. Certain exclusions were there before. Now थोड़े express भी आ गए हैं. So foreign exchange management overseas investment rules or regulations will not apply to investment made by a IFSC entity. Very clear. So when you are making investment into IFSC entity, so say you are sponsor of a fund, you are incorporating a fund management entity there, a fund manager, then that is considered as ODI. But uske beyond, if there is any outbound investment, so say the fund is investing outside India from IFSC, that is not subject to these rules and regulations. Okay. Then acquisition or transfer of any investment outside India made out of the RFC account, foreign currency reserves held outside India by so this is basically a person resident but not ordinary resident. So there is a concept similar to, I can't compare with RNOR concept, but this is where a person has come to India deputation 3 years and he has funds outside India. So deputation maximum 3 years service hona chahiye or employment, whatever. And he has funds outside India. He can use those funds to make investments outside India. Usme overseas investment rules regulations will not apply. Logic being, you cannot penalize a person who has come to India for a short period of time and burden them with all these rules and regulations. Okay. Last one, in accordance with 6.4 of FEMA. Okay. So this is a very, very important clarification that has come in. Now what happens, 6.4, what is this section? 6.4 is a section wherein there is a change in residential status. Non-resident becomes a resident. After he becomes a resident, 6.4 says that he is allowed to retain foreign bank account, foreign security, foreign money. Okay, he is allowed to do that. And from that money, he is allowed to incorporate new companies also. That clarification is coming from here. Earlier there was a question mark. Out of 6-4 funds, did I have to refer to, say round tripping, say financial services activity if it is an individual? Once he becomes a resident, do I have to subject that resident to all these rules, regulations, even though he may be using his erstwhile earned funds kept outside India? Now that clarification is there. उसके पुराने फंड्स होंगे आउटसाइड इंडिया एंड इफ इज डूइंग इन्वेस्टमेंट्स फ्रॉम देयर, नन ऑफ दिस विल अप्लाई. आपको राउंड ट्रिपिंग का भी कोई टेंशन नहीं. आपको अनरेटेड डेट सिक्योरिटीज में डालना है डालो. ओपीआई का भी डेफिनेशन का टेंशन नहीं, नथिंग. So that is being given here. Bona fide business activity means any business activity permissible under any law in force in India and the host country or host jurisdiction as the case may be. So twin conditions. We go to pricing guidelines. Okay. So pricing guidelines. You may have done the valuation as per the internationally accepted methods, but they still want you to include this sentence that Therefore, the price is arrived at on a one year condition is still there. Okay, so 1 year के पहले RBI does not allow you to disinvest. Okay, logic is, भाई, you would have made the investment with some thought process. You